I want to move a little bit backward, I guess, but we haven't been able to see you since the anti-tampering package passed at the Board of Governors last Friday. I want to know what the fallout has been, because I imagine your phone has been buzzing in the days since. What are GMs telling you about just the ramifications of this? We heard Adam talking about creating a culture of compliance.
I think that organizations, front offices, absolutely understand that part of it. And their attitude is, if we're breaking rules, we're cheating, and you got us, you got me. The problem right now, and the issue that big markets, small markets, it's been universal in front office executives have, is this idea of 5 annual random audits of teams' phones, emails. What does that mean? Does that mean it's just the GM, it's the GM and coach, it's the owner? Because lots of different people work on deals in organizations. In some places it's structured differently. And their thing is, if I haven't done anything wrong, if you don't suspect I've done something wrong,
right,
why do I have to give up my phone, my privacy, and open up to anything? And not just if there's something inappropriate on there, but information. There are people in the league office. Who's going to see it? Is it an outside law firm with some young clerk who's going through it? Is there somebody in the league office who's going to go work for a team next year? Now has my... It just opens up so many unanswered questions.
That's really interesting. I hadn't thought about that last point.
Those are all the factors that have front office executives really concerned about, like, if you, because right now the commissioner has the power, and he's done this in the past. If they have reason to believe you violated tampering rules, they can get your phone and go through it. Rob Pelinka with the Lakers went through that. They got fined. But if you don't suspect me of doing anything, if you don't have any evidence, I shouldn't have to give up my phone, my email to you. That's something that I think that conversation among front offices, and they're going to certainly, they're talking to their owners about it in the league office. That conversation is going to go on here about what that audit is going to entail and whether they really should go forward with that part of it.
Wow. I mean, look, Scottie, you've been around this league a long time. The idea of people, I mean, not players at this point, we're not talking about players, but in an audit of 5 random teams, officials you've dealt with having to just hand in their phones with all that information. What's your reaction to that?
Wow. I mean, that's a lot of information. And as Walt said, you don't know who all is working that deal. You don't know if the general manager is using an intern's phone or whatever. So it's going to be hard to really document all this stuff, but it's good to let, I guess it gives the smaller market teams a little bit of a chance, because the big market teams are the ones that's doing all the tampering. And to be honest, it's the players and the agents. So they have to figure it out. And I think this will alleviate a little bit of the problem, like the Lakers getting AD and pulling him out of a contract that he was obligated to. A lot of that has to be cleaned up. They were fined for it, but the New Orleans Saints suffered for that. And they didn't really recover from it when you talk about a player like AD.
Yes. Organizations are connected, by the way. The NBA must know that we have you on the show, Woj, because we have breaking news on the jump. The Bucks have been fined $50,000 for tampering. They mentioned offering Giannis Antetokounmpo the supermax in a town hall a few weeks back. Scottie, what do you think of that, considering it's their own player?
That is tough. I mean, that was a tough one there, because who's not going to think to offer this kid the supermax? He's the MVP, almost was the defensive player of the year as well. So,
can you explain why this would happen?
I don't understand that.
I think it's the timing of it. I think until you're eligible to offer the supermax, I guess it's you can't make it public. And you know what happens is, like, it's whether those town halls, you're talking to your season ticket holders. I think sometimes, yeah, and there it is, you know, there on the
NBA letterhead, man.
Yeah,
it's very official.
Yeah, teams can't offer that supermax prior to the summer following a player's 7th season in the NBA. What happens, I think, in some of these scenarios where a GM thinks he's talking to his season ticket holders or a concentrated group, that somebody tweets it out or it gets out or there's audio of it.
Some of these are televised, or they put them on YouTube for their other subscribers.
You know, just I think generally assume if there's more than one person in front of you, you're on the record, you're accountable for it. Assume that it's being tweeted out live as you talk, because in many cases it might be.
I mean, look, if they end up keeping Giannis Antetokounmpo because they offer him the supermax and he takes it next summer, I think they're going to be fine with the $50,000.
I don't think Giannis has any. I don't think he's curious at all about whether he's getting that offer. Yeah.
That goes to my point. Look, I have railed against tampering rules in general because I think that kind of takes players' intelligence for granted at some point. Like, players know what's going on. As I said in this show, they have TVs, they have the internet, they have Woj, so they know what's happening in the league. And I think that the idea that Giannis wouldn't know if it wasn't happening and it wasn't said at this ticket holders event that he's getting offered the supermax is a little silly. But I do understand the idea of this culture of compliance issue that Adam is talking about. And while I don't agree with some of the letter of the law, I do agree with the spirit of some of the laws that they're putting in here or sharpening up, because as you've talked about, and Scottie, look, right before free agency, how many deals did we find out about before players could even officially talk to teams?
Yeah,
and it's just sending the message to everyone that the league's rules don't
Yeah,
matter.
and that'll be the biggest difference. I think that the appearance that the deals are all done versus the reality is that they may still be done, but they may not become public. They may not get reported until after that 6 p.m. Period. I am confident that will change. There won't be. I think there was a little more of a brazenness the last year or two that teams, agents didn't worry that if the agreements got out that there would be consequences. I think now they know there will be consequences, and if there are agreements in place, they'll keep a tighter lid on it.
Well, I think the biggest beneficiary in all of these new rules, especially if that is the case, is your wife, who can actually spend a little more time with you in the days leading up to free agency. And then
I don't think it'll exactly work that way, but that's all right.
I tried.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports analysis and highlights, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.